Welcome to Hope, a channel to highlight stories where it's clear to see where sin abounded, grace abounds more. Check out today's episode.
So sometimes like there's this saying that obviously a lot of stuff challenge like really, had a hand in discipling me, right? But it wasn't like, it's because of Hope Prison Ministries that he's able to do that. You know what I mean? So him being my mentor would always be like, it's hard to see the forest with the trees kind of situation. He said, a guy said that one time. He said, yeah, when you describe, and painted like a good description of just like how it is whenever we're in the middle of everything. Because I tell him, sometimes I feel overwhelmed with like life, even outside of my addiction stuff is hard, like say I'm not in active addiction or anything like that. And I am like currently pursuing Christ and wanting to have a relationship and wanting to live different and be sober, right? Like genuinely, it's still hard, I feel like Hope Prison Ministries provides all of that. The things that don't make it so hard, it can make things a little easier. To me, it's meant a great deal. I know that it's just it's really another instrument of God's grace in my life, I feel, right? I feel that God is a moving force behind what Hope Prison Ministries is really doing, because without Christ at the center of this, I don't think it'd be possible. I know you didn't expect for us to start a church or anything like, it was encouraged, I heard, yeah, it was definitely encouraged. And I know that Chandler was really bucking against it. There was a lot of things up in the air and we didn't really know what, but next thing I know is I've handed out flyers for MTR, to promote church that we started. And, I think I don't know. I think he had something obviously before we did, and that's hope, right? I know if his mentor would come and see him, he would talk about it a lot whenever he was in prison. And that's kind of how it started. He wanted us to be a church that loves well. That's how I'm going to remember Hope Prison Ministries, a church that loves well.
What does it mean to you just that you're all able to be here together as a family? Y'all all came from your various different addictions and backgrounds and everything, but now y'all are all here in the same house, 3 generations of Camarillos living in the same house.
Well, it was over there getting his diaper changed, third one, right?
That's fine.
But just a temporary delay. But it's kind of like, it's obviously interesting a little bit because it's like, okay, I get to learn more about, because for a long time, like, let's say, like when I was living with you, it wasn't always like real conversationally around. We weren't, I was living there because that's my dad and he let me live there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm his son, so I'm living there. So that's how that worked out. It wasn't like always like now I could say, I like to say, a lot of times when I'm like describing my experience with you or whatever, that I feel like we've connected more whenever I was in jail and I was writing you letters and we were talking about theology or whenever recently up until you got out, whenever we would have conversations about doctrine or, where you're at, in your faith or what you're struggling with, or if I can get counsel from you and as far as biblical counsel, because I never had that before. We didn't talk about much. Because obviously he didn't want to introduce me to that lifestyle, but it kind of happened even outside of him trying to introduce that to me. So now it's like I'm catching up, I'm catching up on everything. And then my wife's kind of seeing all of that. I don't necessarily know what her experience is with that. She hasn't really, I think, voiced that a lot, but it's like kind of we're all learning each other as we go.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more communication than what we used to have. Usually it was just Julian was my son and I was kind of like the discipliner. I gave him rules to follow, told him what to do, but it was never really sharing what's on his mind and on his heart. So now, and because I was in my addiction at that time, I was in a selfish mind state. I didn't, I loved him because he was my son, but to me, it was my needs came before his at that time. That was my thought. That was my mentality. Now there's more communication. He tells me what's going on in his life, his struggles, and like he was saying, our struggles, our fears. We talk about God, we fellowship. In the morning, when I first got out, we were, getting in the word together. Now that he has the baby, he sleeps in a little more because they stay up all night with the baby, which is understandable. But, we still talk about the word, and that's one thing we never did. And so that's one thing that is a blessing because, God has called us in his word to teach these things to our children. He told Abraham, he told the children of Israel, he said, talk with your kids about these things. And they were the people of God. Now we're the people of God, the church, the bride of Christ. And as men in the Lord, as me and him are, now we're able to talk with each other about the Lord. I'm able to share with him things that I've learned, things that the Lord has taught me that I've just learned through studying, and just try to guide him in the right way because I didn't do that before. So that's a blessing to be able to live in the same house, that we're able to be around each other. We're able to talk with each other. We're able to pray. Even sometimes when we sit right here and eat food, we pray for our food together. Something we never did before as a family, at all. And then now that we have baby Julian, we can do the same things with him, but now we get to do it while he's little. And watching him grow up, we'll be able to talk with him about God. Something that he never got from me, and I never shared with him before. Now both of us can share with Julian as he grows up, and we can both be in his life. And, even though obviously he's a baby, he doesn't understand these things right now, but, babies are smart. So when they start hearing these things, seeing these things as they grow up, that we're talking about God, we're seeking the Lord in prayer. He sees through our life that we're seeking to walk in holiness towards God and godliness. He'll be able to see those things. So like I said, that's a biblical mandate from God to his people, is for us to share this with our families and for generation upon generation to learn about God and to learn about his love. And so that's the biggest thing.
If you're liking this content, don't miss out on future episodes. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now back to the show.
Out of curiosity, because this has been true in my life, you two specifically, because you're fathers, what sense of urgency do you feel to make sure that baby Julian doesn't make the same mistakes that you guys have made?
Okay, I'll go first. That's a big sense of urgency, because first of all, now I know Julian growing up, he saw me do things. I was an addict, sold drugs, I was a womanizer, and all these things he saw me do growing up. Although I didn't really just say, hey, Julian, look at this, or look what I'm doing. He was watching me because he's a kid. That's what we do as kids. We watch our parents. So it's very urgent for us, or for me as a grandfather, and for Julian as a father, to instill those types of values upon baby Julian as he grows older, as he gets, so it's very urgent, because obviously Julian started on the same path that I did, but by the grace of God, and God using Chandler, Hope Prison Ministries, and to reach out to him and to mentor him, he didn't follow exactly in my footsteps. That road was cut off onto a path of the Lord, to seeking the Lord, but he could have easily been in the same position I was. When I first went to prison, I was 23 years old. And when Julian came to Christ, he was about 22?
I was like, no, I was 19.
19.
Whenever I was I came to know, but I mean, there was still a struggle at that point. I didn't, just like my father saying, it was weird because he's like, we're on different ends of it, right? Like he's on where I was for my son, that's where he was at, right? And now I'm kind of in the middle, and it's like, I see the urgency, because I definitely, all the sin that my father struggled with, that I seen him struggle with, right? And I seen that, and then I struggled with my own sins, right? And so it definitely still echoes in my life now, right? So I would like to stop that as early as I could with him, right? Like him growing up in a house that his parents want to know the Lord, want to serve the Lord, right? They want to honor Christ, and they want to find comfort in his word, and they want to grow in their relationship and in truth, and in righteousness. Like that's that's what I want to bring him up to know. You know, like all he knows is, hey, my parents, they want to love the Lord, you know, and saying they want to establish a relationship with Jesus. You know, that my parents, they've always been like, I want him to know that, you know, rather than know everything that's opposed to God, you know, because that's all I've known growing up. You know, initially that's what everybody, I would assume, kind of was. I mean, there's decent families out there, you know, and we've been introduced to quite a few of them, and kind of like the most normal thing there ever was Adam and Eve before the fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Living and enjoying God and being in communion with him. And so whenever I was in Hope Prison Ministries and going to church, to NTR and everything, Chandler was like, hey, I want you to meet these people, and we'll go over to their houses, right? And so it's a completely different environment, right? So they're like hanging out and having chili contests and like singing hymns and stuff like that. Like, and I've never, and for me, I ain't gonna lie, like I'm like, I kind of really like enjoyed that, you know what I mean? Because I was like, I think that's what, it was an uncomfortable feeling, but it was a comfortable feeling at the same time. It was uncomfortable because I had never known that, you know, but then it was comfortable because I was like, man, this is what it means to really love the Lord, to really honor that. And so like, that's what I want to introduce to him. And I mean, hopefully he does it better, obviously, than we did, you know, as time goes on, hopefully it progresses, right? But that's, I mean, the urgency's there, you know, and the resources are there because of Hope Prison Ministries, to get us to that point.